Okay, looks like we're in.
Sounds good.
All right. Just Chad, just say a couple things.
Uh, hey, Huck, how's it going? Greg Rempe has lousy PC equipment.
Or as Shane stated, took the Glock to it.
Exactly.
All right, let's see here. It's not picking. My recording is not picking you up. If I can't get it, then we'll just go to all video record. All right, Chad, say something again.
Hey, test. Greg Rempe, bad PC.
How's it going, everyone? It's Huck Jr. here, pitching in for Greg Rempe. Just tuned in at 10 o'clock and saw that there's nobody. Well, everyone's tuned in, but there was no video. Chad, you know, have you spoke with him or has he come on to the chat at all?
No, I think Kevin's been speaking to him, and I saw a couple guys post that he put something on his Facebook, but I can only imagine there's nothing but four-letter words coming out of his mouth right now.
Right, exactly. Uh, I totally agree. Chad, what have you been doing since our last recording?
Not much actually. Enjoyed a weekend off from competing, um, but decided to cook a prime rib on Saturday on the pellet cooker on the GMG, and it turned out pretty well. About 4 hours, 320. It's about 13 pounder, and finished up about 128 in the middle and about 145 on the sides.
320. You
Because
went hot and
I had a
fast, huh?
I had a couple of medium well folks.
Ah, okay.
Oh, if it was up to me, man, I'd cook that thing to 122 in the center and 128 on the ends and enjoy it.
Yeah, thought that was pretty fast for a brisket. You went hot and fast with it.
Well, no, it was a prime rib.
Oh, prime
So
rib. I guess
yeah,
I misheard you. My bad.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it cooked. Yeah, I cooked it between probably 325 and 375 because I had to speed it up there at the end. The guests were starting to arrive.
Okay. All right.
So
So,
how about yourself? Anything interesting happened since last recording?
well, since last recording, I've just been working on behind the scenes interviews and such. Um, what we normally do, working on getting Facebook interests, scheduling posts for during the show. You know what I mean? It's only but so much you can do while you're recording. Try to follow the outline and such, and typing, tweeting saying, "Hey, we're live." You know what I mean? So Hootsuite kind of takes care of that for me. I'm trying to schedule all those out so we can get that kind of interest. What you
Very
got?
cool.
What you got coming
Hey,
up?
one thing I saw on the message board before you came on is you've had a chance to try the new Blues Hog barbecue sauce, haven't you?
No, I have not actually. Who was that? Our contributor Tim Bryan did a review on Huck's Hut.
Do,
It
do
wasn't
you
it
want
wasn't
to?
myself.
Yeah. Do you want to talk at a high level about the review? Because I know there were some folks out there asking about it.
You know what? Let me go back to his review so that I can actually you know read for. I mean, read a little bit on it word for word. I don't remember everything offhand. So, you tried any new products lately?
Um, no, I haven't, but it's not a new product, but one of our good friends down here in the FBA, a guy named Big Papa's Country Kitchen. He did a really good job out in Vegas. When we went out there, he finished first in ribs and second in chicken out of 95 teams. He had given me some of his. He's got a peach barbecue sauce,
Right.
and I did that on some country style ribs and some chicken the other night, and it was phenomenally good. Um, has really great peach taste, and then a little bit of heat with some pepper on the back end, and it was a really well balanced sauce. I really enjoyed eating it.
Oh, cool. So let me ask you this: when you compete in KCBS competitions, because you're mostly FBA, do you normally do garnish or not?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do putting greens everywhere for all ACBS events. It's one of those things that it just seems to work out. So I see Greg has signed on. I wonder if Greg wants us to get the hell out of his domain.
Rempe's calling. Let me see if I can get him on. Yo, Remp.
Yo. Chatters, what's up?
What's up, buddy? Are you calling to tell us to get the hell off your airtime?
I'm an hour and 17 minutes late.
BBQ Central Show.
Oh boy, not good.
So, Remp, what's been going on, man? What kind of issues you having?
Windows related issues, I would say.
Okay.
Not that you would know anything about that.
Work on them all day.
Yeah, I don't know. I do the same thing every week for the show to get ready, and it was not working today. So after a number of restore points and just letting it do whatever it does,
yep,
here we are. I got the chat board up, and I saw my good friend Bruce McCall Jr. filling in ever so eloquently, only to be brought down by the pitmaster of Whiskey Bend Barbecue. Chad, when
I know you have to have a boat anchor everywhere. I took care of that for him.
You coming back up to Cleveland here, August 10th?
Yeah. Actually, we'll be back up there. So I actually got 2 contests that are going to bring me up there. So yeah, we definitely need to get together.
Well, you make the call, and I'll make it worth your while. Wow, that didn't sound very good at all.
Well, a casual encounter or something.
Chad just does the quick drive-through. Let's not out on this time.
Hey, Remp, you're gonna send me the plane ticket, man, and I'll come join you guys too.
I'll just send a G5. I don't even know to send you the ticket.
There you go. Just sit in the plane.
Yeah, I'll just
make it easier, you know.
Yeah, well, you're only in Philly. I could send the jet chopper. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Hey, Greg. We will let you know that Meathead did a very good job of conducting his segment in the chat tonight.
Well, I wish I could have seen that. And boy, did I have a really good ice-breaking question to start off our whole conversation, because I think we were going to be talking about sauces, and depending on how that went, we would talk about like favorite barbecue joints. Not that there's any up here where I live, but other people have places that they go when you talk about the regions and the meccas of barbecue that need to be stopped at, or, kind of decipher this and that. But there was such a great question that I was going to ask him, and hopefully he can move back 1 week. I'm not even going to discuss it, because if he can come back next week, then
I was going to say we got 40 minutes. We can get him on, but you can still keep that question.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping. See, I've run into that awkward time now too, where I'm supposed to be doing. Well, I'm supposed to be doing an interview with Christian O'Dowd from Daisy Mays right now, but obviously that's not going to happen. And then secondarily, I had the guys from Hot Grill on Grill Action that were going to be starting up in about 10 minutes. So, like, there's an opportunity for that.
Well, but you want to shoot me. Whomever's contact information, I can get them on, and you can lead, and we can ask questions with you.
Well, evidently, I can. They should be calling in.
They were going to be calling in.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can conference them in, right?
Well, which now should technically be able to happen, even though I don't even know if this constitutes as a show right now. No offense, of course. I mean, obviously it is. You've taken over with much gratitude on my end. I'm just saying.
Huck Jr., host of the flagship station of the barbecue.
Well, Chad, what is going on with you guys cooking in Ohio? How is that luck going?
It hasn't went bad. I mean, we've top 10'd up there twice. I mean, it just seems like we got scored very fairly in the last contest, but I mean, because our ribs, they got hit hard, but they were pretty flat, so they deserved it. But no, I mean, it's been great. I mean, the guy that's been on fire up there has been Mike from Chick Swine and Bovine. He's going into the third leg of the Triple Crown with like a ridiculous 20, 25-point lead, because I think he went third at the first contest in Marietta, and then went went GC at this last one, but it's been a lot of fun. I mean, to me, I just enjoy it. You know, you get to see different people, you get to meet new people. I mean, and just cooking pro the last 18 months, we've been through 9 states. So I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It gives you a chance to do some different things.
Do you find there to be a substantial difference in the way people are cooking their competition barbecue between the two sanctioning bodies, since you do have quite a bit of success down in the FBA when you come up and do states that are here up north and then Kansas City Barbecue Society?
I haven't noticed a huge difference. You know, I mean, we run exactly the same sauces. Like I said, the only place we've ever seen a difference was the Invitational at the Royal last year, and that was it. That was the only place where we saw, oh my God, our flavors are really, really hated. So, but in Ohio, we haven't noticed a difference. Indiana, we haven't noticed a difference. In New York, we really haven't noticed a difference. We're running pretty much the same rub combinations and the same sauces. I actually think on some categories, like brisket, I think a lot of the northern guys run a lot of smoking guns rub, and we're not a big fan of it, and we don't run it on any of our products.
Hey, Chad.
And I think that actually helps us in the 2 bigger cuts.
Chad, how do you know what flavor profiles fly? Do you go off of trial and error, or is it just
yeah? I mean, if you speak of the Royal last year, you just go, you take your ass whipping, and you say, hey, we better go to Walmart and get a whole lot of different flavors for the open tomorrow, or it's going to be another bloodbath. Right. I mean, so yeah, we've got enough of a network where you can talk to some teams and, say, hey, this is what I'm kind of planning to do. Do you think it's in the ballpark or not? But really, at the end of the day, you don't know until you put it in the judge's hands and see what happens.
Right.
You're the host, Huck. I'm just following your lead.
Chad, what contest are you going to be getting into after this one in Ohio?
Our next one's actually the Sam's Club event down here in Orlando. And it is just an absolute murderer's row. Serial Griller, which won Pig Fest down here in Florida this year in January. You've got Swamp Boys, Rub's always in there, world champion pork, the Jack 2 years ago. You've got Myron, 3-time world champ. You've got Kevin Bevington, 5-time FBA champ.
And wait, let me interrupt. Might I say happy birthday?
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Bevington. Kevin, happy 25th birthday.
So that's our next contest. And like I said, it's got a ton of good teams. Only 6 will qualify out of it because we're the only region that has 5 local qualifiers. And I will go out on a limb and say, of the 6 teams that qualify out of this local event, I will guarantee 5 of them will go to nationals out of the 10 that'll come out of the region.
Sounds
Not
good.
even knowing who they are, blind, going on the record right now on the most popular barbecue show on the planet.
Right.
Somebody's
gonna have to practice.
Not a game. We talking about practice.
Practice.
Not a game.
This thing I live for, thing I die for. We talking about practice.
So
speaking of Ohio, Chad, you just missed LeBron James. He was just in Ohio. I think Rempe took him out for a few drinks, right, Rempe?
Oh yeah, he's always calling. I rarely have time for him. I don't really have the vitriol that the majority of Clevelanders have for him. I mean, I don't necessarily go about applauding the way he left us, but I mean, he was free agent. You can leave however you want. It's hard to come back. I mean, I'm the one taking a lot of the abuse when he comes back because he's sizably bigger than me. He can kick my ass, and people understand that when they see him and they see me. I mean, who would you rather fist fight? I don't. And by the way, I don't appreciate Patrick Paquette telling me that I'm as reliable as LeBron is in crunch time. I don't think that's very nice at all.
Oh no,
Patrick, I give you free stuff every week, and then you're going to come at me like that. That's it for you, buddy.
Wow. Okay, Rempe, what you got coming up on the on your show next week? Who did you have scheduled if you're not rescheduling these folks?
Well, yikes! I'm hoping I'm rescheduling these folks.
Okay,
that's pretty much what I'm hoping. So I'm hoping.
So you're not bumping anybody next week already?
Well, I've already put some feelers out. I don't like to finalize, like, completely concrete the show until, 2-3 days in advance, just in case something better comes up and, somebody's not as important all of a sudden. Just kidding.
Yeah,
But that way, there's
understand.
flexibility of time frames and who's available. And if something great happens in competition over the weekend, obviously I can't solidify who I'm going to have on until at least at the earliest, Sunday. Mike Davis kind of threw me a bone last week, and then he won. I had a whole opening rant about how the Barbecue Central radio show Karma never fails. You would recall that right about this time, I was letting Mike Davis from Laudable off of the interview line, and he turned right around and won a second grand champion in a row this past weekend in Gaffney. I mean, tell me it doesn't work. It never fails.
Yeah, you've thrown a few Chad's way as well.
Yeah, it just never doesn't work. I don't understand it.
Now, if only you could have had Diva right before she had a one. Wait a minute, Chad. Was it 2 180s?
No, she got a
180 and 179.
Yeah, 179 foreign pork. Yeah, it was a heck of a contest for her. I've got a quick question for you, Rempe. Speaking of the whole scheduling thing.
Yeah.
Who were the top 3 guys, barbecue-wise? I mean, because obviously if Barack called you and wanted to go on the show, you'd bump anybody. But let's just talk 3 barbecue guys. Who's the 3 guys that can email you and say, I want to be on the show, and they will bump any broadcast or anything you've got planned?
Well, first and foremost, it has to be Rod Gray, because he's simply been, and it's, well, I like talking to him. He's obviously still very hotly sought after in the competition circuit. I mean, he's down a little bit this year, but I think he's had some health issues, and he's just, as he had kind of confessed the last time I had him on, he's just not cooking as well. He got a little fat and happy with what he was doing, and maybe wasn't keeping the edge on. But he brings ratings. Nobody gets better ratings than Rod. So as far as a show statistical, who would I bump no matter what? It's going to be, I'll bump anybody for Rod if he wants to come in. But I love talking with Meathead because we're able to kind of go back and forth on issues, and he's he's not as quick-tongued as I am, but he is able to formulate very good retorts back to me, and we like kind of messing around. That's why I was so excited for our segment or two tonight, because I was really going to be able to get after him. So I'm really hoping he can reschedule. As far as, I don't know. Some of the people that I would probably just like to have on, maybe other people wouldn't really care about, but obviously if Myron would call, I would always like to have him on. But those are just big names. I'm always looking at it from a show ratings aspect, I guess.
I personally thought Marcus would be in the top 3.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say the same thing.
No, not necessarily.
Bam. In your face, John Marcus, in your face.
I mean, he's and it's not because he doesn't do good interviews. I mean, he does, but if usually our discussions are focused around some type of a TV show.
Right, versus
which is
sharing tips and stuff.
And I understand that he does cook, and he's actually won some categories over the last couple years. But what I love about John is you have to be able to understand, at least from my perspective, I couldn't be less of a nobody. He is 5 billion times more accomplished in a profession that he actually gets paid for, and I don't. And he has Emmy Awards, and he has worked with some of the most prolific stars on television and in movies, and yet somehow he finds time to come. I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't even look at me. Who am I? And I have his personal cell phone number. I could call him if I wanted to. He emails me very quickly and turn around. So, I mean, in that regard, I absolutely love him to death. And when he has TV shows, that's why I always have him on, because obviously he's very articulate, very accomplished, and he makes for a good guest. But as far as people that, I mean, if he wanted to come on and it was 24-hour notice and I had what I thought to be a very good show, I would pass. I've done it before.
Hey, Greg, speaking of Marcus, what do you think? And Chad brought this up offline last week. What do you think about Planet Green's decision to syndicate the season 1 of the Barbecue Pit Masters?
Well, I find it funny to a small degree because right. I don't know if anybody recalls, but the very first season of Barbecue Pit Masters if you would go back and look, especially through forums like the Barbecue Brethren, that were very active on watching it almost as it was happening. A lot of people were watching it as it was happening and posting right along on the Barbecue Brethren forum.
Right.
If you go back and look, and I don't want to call anybody a hypocrite here, but there were a lot of people that found season 1 to be kind of not what barbecue's all about, and Myron's talking a lot of crap, and this is staged, and this guy walked up on Johnny Trigg's camp, and he was drunk, and that was staged, and, all of this criticism. And then season 2 turned around, and magically, season 1 was like the template of how any barbecue show going forward should be. And I found that to be a little odd. So if you go back and look and see what it was all about, and then you see what it's like now, then I don't know. I don't think it's a bad decision on their part to re-air it, because if they were keeping track of whatever the hell was going on, that would have been the one to obviously syndicate and play again.
Right, exactly.
As far as ratings are concerned, I don't think they made a mistake doing it, but I think it's funny that people were kind of panning it when it was on originally, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, this is definitely the one we want to have on.
What do you think?
Doesn't make sense to me.
What do you think, Chad?
As a guy that was a bit critical of season 1, I will definitely say you don't know what you got until it's gone. And they put some guy that boils ribs on as the host for season 2. I definitely think when you look back on it, I think we were all hypercritical of season 1, and then we saw just how bad it could get. We were like, no, we'll take season 1 all day long. So yeah, I agree. I think Planet Green probably looked at it, and I think they figured out, they're a pretty grassroots kind of cultish channel anyway. They kind of live and die off, small sects of people, watching their stuff. So I think they saw that season 1 had a much better following than season 2, and that's where they decided to, go for syndication.
Sounds good.
You think, Huck?
I'll have to say it definitely is a slap in the face to season 2. I was not a fan of season 2 at all, but it does indeed show you what was the best episode, what most people liked. I haven't heard any ratings on the syndicated show from Planet Green, or no one has released anything as regarding that as of yet. But I think it tells you right there. Season one was flat out better. I don't care what most of America is into as far as, and I know TV does, but I don't care what most of America is into as far as game shows and all that crap. And I think that was better. Season 1, hands down.
I'm calling into my own show to see if my line's working.
Okay.
What's going on here? You guys can discuss barbecue sauce.
Well,
So
I was amazed that Craig, and I think Rempe's going to be upset about this, but I can't believe Craig said his favorite barbecue sauce was KC Masterpiece.
What?
Yeah, that's what he was going to lead with tonight.
All right. Okay, guys, we're going to do it's going to be a massive 3-way of weirdness.
Remp, you can lead. Just give us a holler if you need us.
All right, hold on. Oh,
yep.
I think. Oh, okay. How do I get this? All right. Let's see how this works.
Okay.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Okay, looks like he's on. I have him on hold, Chad. So you've been catching up on season 1 again, Chad? How was Chad dropped? Rempe's gone. Chad, you there? Where's Rempe's? Uh-oh. Just bear with us, guys.
Guys.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to be able to conference us in.
Well, we'll just drop off, or I'll drop off.
What the hell?
For some strange reason.
I think he would have to call you.
Yep. And do I remember my Skype number? Well, wait, is he on Skype?
Yeah, I have him on hold on the other line. So if you guys want to dump off and then call back into me, then I should be able to add you guys in.
That works.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. I'm just going to record this for posterity.
Yeah, I'm recording all along.
All right.
All right.
Hang up with me and then call back in. I'll pick it.
Yep, calling right back in. Just bear with us, guys.
All right. Joining me now on a show that is actually really not taking place at all tonight is 3 of the 4 pitmasters for the team that has the best goddamn name in competition barbecue, hot grill on grill action. Ryan Ames, Logan Hendrickson, and Matt Frampton, along with Huck Jr. and Chad Ward from Whiskey Went Barbecue. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me tonight. Also, thanks to Huck and Chad for kind of carrying me while I was going through some terrible issues along on my own here that has nothing to do with anything. Boys, it seems that hot grill on grill action has been taking over some of the competition barbecue out there. You have some competition finishes. Both are state championships, some overall finishes for you for hot grill on grill. At the Sizzling 7, you were 7th overall out of 34. And then, of course, this past weekend, the Red, White, and Q, you took grand champion out of an additional 37 teams. So, Logan, we'll lead with you. Since last you were on the show, what have you guys been doing to, A, continue consistency, but has there been anything that has changed in the cooking process or that you've added to the flavor profile to keep the winning on board?
Absolutely, Greg. And we do have Chris Fielk. We were able to patch him in. I'm going to do a quick sound check to make sure that he's here. Chris, are you here?
Yes, I'm on.
Oh, my goodness.
Perfect. All right, so we do have all 4 members of Hot Grill and Grill Action. We did quite a bit since last season. We had a pretty strong finish with ribs last season, with Ryan Amos being our category chef for that, as well as our head chef. He had about 5 contests in a row where he finished in the top 5 for ribs. Our pork took a state championship home as well last year. Brisket and chicken were kind of all over the map. We had a couple of good calls. We had a couple of contests that we could have done quite a bit better than in. One contest in particular, we had a brisket that might have cost us a grand championship. So that being my category, you betcha, I went out and revised quite a bit of my cooking technique with the brisket. We've put together a couple new rubs that we're using on it, as well as a mop, different cooking temperatures, and it's just been a phenomenal success this season so far in the first 2 contests that we've done. So we're pretty pleased with it. Matt's chicken as well has scored tremendously high. He got first place in the last contest out of the Red, White, and Q. The contest before, he took 3rd as well. So both those categories have really come on strong.
All right, so Ryan, I'll ask you this question. You know, we've been having some very good successes, your team there. Now, you won grand champion here this past weekend. You've had a few days away from it now. Give me some thoughts, some feedback about the weekend as a whole. We'll go ahead and address the turn-ins here individually in a bit, but, you know, were there any issues out of the ordinary that you had to contend with during the course of the weekend?
I think the biggest thing that we had to deal with was the heat. We were running about 98 degrees out there on an asphalt parking lot. So, you know, you get that going, and of course you're trying to stay hydrated. As far as the food goes, it did tend to perhaps get something done a little bit sooner. It would be my ribs. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's just the sun glaring down on the top of that cooker. But we're trying to figure that out. At least I'm trying to figure that out. That was the worst scoring category. So, yeah, you can't help but just sit and think about what you might have done wrong or what you could do differently. Having come out of top 5 finishes all last year and not been in the top 10 yet this year, you know, you can't help but just to think about what you need to do next time.
Peter, when you are dealing with extreme temperature, 98 degrees, I would have to imagine that's just what your ambient temperature is. You're in front of a smoker all day long. That's obviously kicking up heat as well. Is that something that you're able to game plan ahead of time, or you're just kind of experiencing as it happens and you have to make some type of game plan adjustment on the fly if that's concerned?
Well, I'll jump in there. This is Matt. And I think a lot of what helps us out there is the temperature control systems that we have. I mean, the ambient temperature as well as the temperature around the cooker and the humidity are kind of taken out of the equation. And the same thing happens even with cold temperatures. I think we've gained quite a strategic advantage by using the control temperatures that we have, electronics both with the system and thermostat hooked in the system, and the thermometers that we have in the meat as well as hooked up to the laptop. We're able to monitor everything, control it well, and all in all, it really hasn't been an effect to our temperatures one way or the other, whether hot or cold.
Wow. You said Matt. I think I said Peter, didn't I?
Oh, Peter works too. I've never heard that one, but
that's the first time.
But I come alive sometimes, Greg. I come alive.
You feel like I do. I know you do. Chris, let's go ahead and turn to you real quick. Let's go ahead and start. Well, actually, I almost did it again. Matt, let's go ahead and start with you. We'll go ahead and break down the categories by turn-in. I would imagine that the products were called chicken ribs, pork, and brisket in regards to how they were calling you out by category.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I mean, we started out, of course, the chicken's called first, and we felt pretty good about it, but we didn't necessarily think it was a first place finish. And the third went by, fourth, third, second went by, and then we won chicken, and that was nice. We figured we made a couple of bucks at the contest, and then we went through the pork ribs and the pork and didn't get a call on those two, and started to feel a little down. I mean, our goal for this season, every season really, is to get a call or to get a grand championship so we can get that invite to the American Royale. And then our fourth category, we got called first for brisket, which we felt the same with that category as we did with the chicken. You know, it was a good finish. We felt top 10, but definitely not first when we turned it in. But it turns out it was, and we're happy we didn't get called 2 through 10.
All right. So first place chicken there. You know, I wonder, Matt, when you are picking your chicken to go ahead and turn it in the box, are you a team that just cooks it? You've done it every single way, or you've done it consistently, you know, time after time after time, the way you're doing it. Are you tasting the chicken before you turn it in to make any type of adjustment, or you just cook it, turn it in, and kind of kiss it and bless it, and there it goes?
Well, without giving away too much here, what we do is we run for the chicken category, we run a practice every contest the night before, so we can get a gauge for how the chicken's cooking in the elements, whether it's raining, really hot, really cold, and you know, if we're out, we like to cook it down and finish it within a range of about 5 minutes, and if we're outside that 5 minutes, we're bummed. So we do that practice run, and then we cook 12 thighs a run, and or 12 pieces a run, whatever cut we decide to turn in. And then so we do the same thing on competition day, and we try and arrange them so we know which ones look the best before they're cooked, and usually those are the ones we end up turning in.
All right, so we'll switch over to ribs now. Of course, that is Ryan's category, Ryan Amos from Hot Grill on Grill Action. Charge! So you have the first place chicken. Next category that's called is ribs. And were they calling top 10, Ryan?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right, so you don't get a call in ribs. How did you feel as you were turning them in? Were you happy with the product?
I was pretty confident I was not going to get a top 10 call. I was actually quite discouraged after having put them in the box. It was just a comedy, almost a comedy of errors, just doing things that you know you shouldn't do. Waited too long to get them off the cooker. Didn't give them a chance to set up. I mean, these are all common things. You know, you get in the habit. You know what you need to do. Last year I was on point with that every time. This year I think we've taken a lot of focus on some of the categories that weren't finishing as well as we had, as well as we want to. And I think maybe a little cockiness, maybe a little arrogance came over me, and I figured everything was going to be okay. This time, I just laid off, I guess. I just wasn't as sharp as I needed to be. Put him in a box, just frustrated as all get out. So, I was confident I was not going to get a call. So it was a discouraging moment.
When that happens, is it at all humble? I mean, can you find any positive? Is that something where you're like, okay, next time we're going to buckle down, we're going to get it going, or you just?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to figure it out. You have to sit right there at that point in time when you're frustrated and try to, get your head straight, realize what you did wrong instantly. Once you can figure out maybe, a couple, one or two things, what you did wrong, just let it go. You screwed up, and then you just really have to start making sure the rest of the teammates have everything that they need to get a successful turn in.
And just look at it this way: you guys still have the best team name.
I agree.
Yeah, on the worst day, you still have the best team name.
Right, there you go.
I want to pull in Chad Ward from Whiskey Met Barbecue here just for a second, since Ryan was talking about it. Chad, when you guys are at competition, because I guess what's similar about your two teams is to a certain degree, it's not like you're one of those one or two person teams that you see a lot of out on the competition. Whiskey Bend Barbecue has like 758 members. Hot Grill on Grill Action has 4 to 10, and then plus 5 or 8 chickens. So, Chad, when you are taking part in a competition, you guys are responsible for your own stuff. Does there ever get to a point where you have too many hands in the kitchen, or have you become confident at a competition where you really haven't paid close attention to getting your stuff off on time, and you've run into an issue similar to what Ryan ran into?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I think is kind of unique about, we do have a lot of guys, but it's kind of weird because we don't split up by category. Really, it's my job to monitor the pits and the meat and the finish temperatures. And the other team members are responsible for presentation, meat prep, those type of things. So we split it up a little bit different. So it's not one guy per category. And that was one of the questions I had for Hot Grill on Grill Action is there ever any dissension in the
don't
camp?
take my questions, you son of a bitch.
Because that's what I'm sitting there thinking. If I'm the chicken guy and I've top 5'd the last 5 contests and we haven't won GC, I'm probably going to get on somebody's ass.
Logan, go ahead and answer that. Has there ever come where you guys are throwing chickens at each other, or perhaps even worse, fisticuffs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Never fisticuffs, but we've definitely had a little bit of dissension. More or less, if the person is cooking their product and they're doing everything on time, and with the successful strategy that we've used in the past, there's not too much of an issue with it. We have run into instances where someone's late wrapping up one of the categories or something like that, and we have to get all over that person's ass. Chris, you look there, but no, But no, for the most part, if we see that someone's struggling, we all pitch in to do what we can. We've all done extremely well. Like I mentioned in the first part, Ryan's ribs, carried us for a good portion of last year. Chris had a couple tremendous pork turn-ins, and Matt and I were kind of all over the map. They didn't give us too much grief. The last thing we want to do is make someone feel completely discouraged where they're just going to throw in the towel. But there's definitely hints, suggestions, some aggressive emails after the competitions, just saying, hey, we need to do this, or try this because what we're doing simply isn't working. So no fisticuffs, anything like that, but we will every once in a while just kind of exchange our ideas in a gentleman-like fashion.
Not trying to get too much off the topic. What are you guys smoking? Or what do you guys use in competitions?
Cooker-wise?
Yeah,
Yes.
Go ahead, Ryan, man. Little Chub, man.
Yeah, we use Little Chub. We built that thing, Matt and I, and obviously Chris. Chris is the guy that helps everything out, everybody out on everything they do. So Chris was certainly there. But yeah, Matt and I, we started fabricating a custom-built cooker. We call it the Little Chub. It's a 3-foot long diameter, or a 3-foot long piece of stainless steel ducting, 1/8 inch thick is all. It's 3-foot long, 3-foot diameter. Hence the Little Chub. It's all tip, no shaft. So got that 3/4 inch plate, or actually a pipe firebox on it. Just basically built it out of what we could get our hands on. So it's a nice little unit. Fit and finish wise, it's certainly not it's not a Jambo, but Logan said it best on the weekend after he won that thing. Is we just won this sucker on the rig that we built. So it's pretty awesome.
All right, so you take the 17th place in rib. Obviously, you didn't know that as it was happening when calls were coming out. Next in line was pork, and that's Chris Yellick on the team, Hot Grill on Grill Action. Again, no top 10 call. So, Chris, when you were turning it in, boxing it up, and sending it off to the blind table, how did you feel about it?
Well, I felt that the overall meat itself was pretty good. It wasn't the best we'd cooked. We usually do several. I don't want to give away too many details, but we had 4 butts to choose from.
When did coming on the show require everybody to stop sharing? That's what the show is all about. So either open up or get the hell off my show. Damn
Just
it.
us here. No one's listening.
Go ahead.
So went through the best one and got it in the box. It maybe didn't look as good as it could, but the meat was right on as far as the flavor. What we've been turning in for the past 2 years, it was pretty spot on with that. Nice and juicy, just flavor all the way through, good smoke ring. And it just didn't materialize. And as far as the judging, I had two pretty bad scores, 2 decent ones. So I mean, it was kind of all over the board there. Just the pork in general, we've been kind of doing the same thing even since Pitmasters, where we were real successful there. I think what we're doing just may have run its course. I think too many people are doing similar things, from judging courses that, or just from judging last year. Logan, Matt, Ryan. I'm not a judge myself, but they noticed every box of pork coming to them was our pork. So I think it's just too thick, and we need to go with something different at this point. Maybe.
Chris, I wonder, because I'm glad you mentioned that. I've always asked a lot of the pitmasters here recently, especially over the last year or so, that if you're taking classes, you're watching what's winning, and you're just replicating what you're doing and what other teams are doing weekend in, weekend out, and it's happening all over the country. At what point do you risk getting outside of the proverbial box in order to set yourselves apart? And I understand that a lot of teams don't necessarily want to change wholesale because they're afraid it's going to lessen their chance of winning, or at least they're under the assumption that it's going to lessen their chance of winning when you're laying out $600, $700, $800 a competition or whatever it is. But what point do you figure you're going to start to deviate to stand out versus continue to mix in?
Well, it's kind of a tough question. I mean, you're always going to be going one way or the other, trying things a little bit different. If you're going with commercial things, there's so many popular rubs out there, but when you get down to it, the majority of them are all pretty similar in taste and flavor. I know with some of our brisket rubs that we've used over the past year, I mean, we've used so many different ends of the spectrum and done pretty decent with some. Same with pork. You could do the same rub one time, do great. Everything's the same next time, just does horrible. So it's kind of a crapshoot in anything you're doing. But I think if you're standing out too much, like you're going too far, and that's going to just turn off other people who are looking for something more mainstream or like a standard what you're going to find at a restaurant.
Talking to the members of Hot Grill on Grill Action, Ryan Amos, Logan Hendrickson, Matt Frampton, and Chris Yellick. So you ended up getting 14th place in pork after the first place chicken, which you were probably all feeling pretty good about. And then you come to brisket, and that's the master of brisket, Logan Hendrickson. I asked Mike Davis the same question here, Logan. I'm going to ask you this. Last category to get called, you had a first place finish. You don't know where you are in the other two. You could be 11th, or you could be you could have tanked it all together and been towards last place. You have no idea where you're at. So when brisket is getting called and you don't hear your name at 10, 9, 8, 7, as it starts to lead up to number 1, Were you confident that you had a first place brisket turned in? And as the numbers start ticking down and your chances, I guess, become less and less because there's not as many names being called anymore as you get closer to the first place, do you feel more confident as they're ticking down to 3, 2, 1, or do you start to grip?
Well, just comparing it to what we had turned in the contest before, I actually thought this one was cooked a little bit better than the other one. So I was pretty confident that we would be getting a top 10 finish. I thought the rub that we used, we put on a little too much salt. When I actually took a test bite after it, I was kicking myself because it was one of the best cooked briskets that I've ever made. As a matter of fact, we actually cooked 3 briskets at competition, and all 3 of them would be in the top 10 to 15 briskets I ever cooked. We could have turned in any one of them. So they're all 100% spot on, except there was one thing that stood out to me that I didn't like, which was the salt content. I took a bite of it. I must have ran it across, some of the juice that was really salty, or got a piece of the salt in the bark. But I wasn't confident in the first place finish, but I did think that we'd finish somewhere, probably in the 5 to 10 range.
All right. So when you're going and getting those calls at the competition, are you starting to grip as they go up in 3, 2, 1, or are you feeling good?
Absolutely. You start feeling good, when they're calling like the 10, 9, and you think you're turning a good product. As that number goes down to probably 5, 4, your palms start to sweat a little bit because you're like, oh boy, okay, now there's just not as many opportunities to finish in the top, 4 or 5, top 4 or 5 places, excuse me. But that's part of the game, and that's part of the excitement. When the countdown goes, the longer it goes, the more nervous and the more anticipation you face. It just makes it that much sweeter when they call your name.
Yeah, I'd like to. Can I add something to this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I felt a little differently. There's some good names there. Some guys that finished out great when they were getting 4th and 5th place, particularly. Well, both chicken and brisket. Man, I was getting excited as hell. I can't deny that. These guys have just really turned it on. They practiced like hell this year to get ready. They continue to practice, and it's just been it's finally we're coming together. It's really exciting.
Hey guys, it's Chad Whiskey Band. I got a quick question for you. Just to step back to pork real quick. 2 questions I had was, we're from the FBA and we have an hour turn-in times. So when we're down here, we cook 4 butts because we don't have garnish. It's an all-meat box, so you need more meat. And 2, you have an hour before turn-in, so you can process all 4 butts. My question to you is, how easy is it for you guys to process 4 pork butts for turn-in and still keep the pork relatively warm? I know we're only cooking 2 for KCBS, and we pull them out right after we're done with ribs. And because you can't return parted pork back to the cooker, it's a little bit, difficult to keep it, super warm like you want pork going into the judges' tent. So that was a quick question I had for you guys. And the second is, have you noticed from when you first started till now, when we first started cooking pork, we thought it was a sauce contest because we thought pork was just a pretty flat product. But as we've learned more and more, we can actually figure out how to get the pork taste all the way through the meat, and it doesn't feel like a sauce game as much as it used to be. Do you guys have any similar experiences, or do you think that's just an anomaly?
Yeah, I can answer both of those. The second one's pretty quick. We don't sauce it. The meat just speaks for itself. We haven't put sauce on it in the last 2 years, and everything is pretty much meat as is, comes off the smoker. As far as us being able to pull everything on time, the way that it works for KCBS, you have your box. Ryan's one of the best box masters. Matt's definitely no slouch, likes a tidy box himself. But those guys will make a nice box with all the lettuce, the greens, just the parsley, the lettuce. And then as far as the pork, we don't pull all the butts. We cook 4 butts. We pull them off. I put them in 2 each in 2 big foil pans, flip them over, find the money muscles, and just rip them off with my hands. And then put those on a just on a cutting board under foil, and then sit there and wait. And then give them about 10 minutes, kind of poke each one, see which one you want to do, and get yourself some 3/4-inch slices, throw them in the box, and good to go.
Okay, that's the other big difference is you're doing a little bit different pork presentation.
Yep, totally different.
Yes, well, even in KCBS, we're showing pork 3 ways instead of 1 way.
Yeah.
And so it's taking us a little bit longer to process. So
that's kind of where you run into. Sorry, I think that's kind of where you run into problems though, because you're giving the judges too many options, and you're going to be judged by the worst thing in the box. So that's why we put 6 pieces in. That's all they can try, and we haven't done anything chopped and sauced in 2 years. I think the best we ever did with chopped and sauced was maybe right around where we were at. I think we did. I got 12th or 11th once, chopped and sauced, and it was perfect stuff. But I think if you put too much in there, I'm not a big
believer in the chopped because I just think it gets too dry.
Well, I'm just talking pulled, like ripped apart.
Yeah.
Sorry, not chopped is wrong. I wouldn't chop it.
Definitely. Well, cool guys.
Although
I appreciate
we have turned it in that way before.
How'd that work out?
Cool.
Not worth a damn, actually. But it was middle of the road. So.
Matt Frampton, Ryan Amos, Logan Hendrickson, Chris Yellick joining us here on the, Barbecue Central radio show tonight. I think we're still on OutdoorCookingChannel.com for a live feed. You're probably looking at Huck, who's got movie star good looks and a winning personality. So, guys, we're going to kind of switch play. Well, actually, I suppose I should ask. So when your name is called for overall grand championship, what are the feelings like? We'll start with Logan first. Is it relief? Are you feeling like, we had a pretty good day, so this is about right? Where does it sit with you?
Great question, Greg. I can attest to it. We were all standing around, and Matt and Ryan, I'm not sure we're confident that we had secured grand champion. On this contest, they started calling, I believe, the top 15 teams overall, and just came down and down and down and down. And like you'd mentioned earlier, we had absolutely no idea where the pork or the ribs placed. Ryan wasn't happy with his ribs, so he thought they might have been in the lower half of the pack. With the brisket and chicken scoring first, as they wound down and got all the way to second, there was only one name to be called, and we're like, okay, we either tanked on the ribs, which Ryan kind of had, and Ryan, you might be able to chime in later and speak for that, but I got the impression that Ryan felt that he didn't finish as strong as he did. We weren't, satisfied that we didn't get a top 10 finish in pork. But I thought with the two first place finishes that, you know what, this is our moment. We're going to get called. I had every anticipation that we were going to get called. Some of the others weren't exactly sure. And, a moment later, sure enough, they called it. And I think you probably never heard 4 large gentlemen scream as high-pitched and loud as we did. We were pretty damn excited about the whole experience.
What about you, Ryan?
Oh, I thought I'd shit can the whole thing, to be honest. I didn't. I had no idea. I really didn't. There were some good names getting called. A couple teams in particular got a call in each category. You start trying to keep track of that stuff, and it never fails. You forget where everybody came in. You try to run the numbers in your head, maybe see where you think they're going to come in, but the excitement kind of doesn't allow you to do that sometimes. But yeah, honestly. I thought I'd shit can the whole thing. I thought I'd just screwed it for the team, and there's nothing worse than that. We've been there. Different members of the team. Logan mentioned earlier that he might have cost us a grand championship, and I just was really hoping that was not going to be the case. I was terrified, to be honest.
How did you feel, Chris?
Well, honestly, without knowing what we did in ribs and pork, I really didn't know. I couldn't say one way or the other. I didn't feel like those two were good enough, in addition to the others, to put us on top. And you never know until that very last name is called. And it was a great feeling once our name was called. Yeah, I was. It was great. I was the one that carried the check back to our spot, and that was kind of neat. It actually wouldn't fit in the truck. It was enormous, and all the people were congratulating, and it was a great feeling. The pig weather vane was another great thing too. That's something special Ryan can have.
That's going on the Chub.
And it's kind of neat. This is Logan here, Greg. It's kind of neat because the Red, White, and Q contest actually takes place in the middle of an outdoor concert series. So there's quite a large audience, probably, on average year to year, around, 300-400 people out there in the audience, sometimes a little bit greater. So actually between bands, they bring all the barbecue teams in, and that's when they do all the judging. And so you had quite an audience. You got to go up actually on the large band stage and kind of look out over hundreds and hundreds of people. It's a pretty cool experience just from that element of it.
Hey guys, Huck Jr. here, host of In the Hut. I must ask, when your name is called at the contest and such, do you get a lot of laughter as well with the cool name?
Yeah, we have some people that can't even finish it. It's pretty funny when you have someone that's unfamiliar with our team that gets up there and reads Hot Grill and Grill Action, and yeah, you get quite a few laughs from it, from the crowd. Usually the person announcing gets a good chuckle. So it's one of the things that it's just part of our team, and it's one of the reasons we picked the name. We like to make people laugh as well. So yeah, we get quite a few chuckles for sure.
Yeah,
Has anybody announced it Hot Girl on Girl Action by mistake?
I think it's actually happened a couple times.
That's what we were hoping for, actually.
Yeah, don't type that into a browser. At work. Yep. We have a great sign that's just a Weber kettle on top of a Weber kettle, and we've had cops stopping to have their pictures taken in front of it, and it's a.
Was this on your trailer?
Funny. We just have it hanging from our tent, and it stops a lot of people walking by.
All right, so let's go ahead and transition out a little bit as far as the competition this past weekend. Side event, seems like, some people that are doing very successful either put on cooking classes, but you guys have decided to do a little bit of a different thing, and that is penning a book. So aside from competing, you guys putting this book out, tell us what we can expect from this effort, and when do you have a anticipated release date?
Yeah, Greg, we spent the better part of the last 12 to 16 months working on a book that really helps. What we like to call it is perfect for beginners and priceless for the pros. A book that is catered to helping people get into competition barbecue. We'd like to help grow the sport, and also share some of the things that we've done, and hope that somebody can learn something from it. And really it stems from our first contest ever, which was we decided to enter a local contest. We got in. They asked us if we wanted power. We said we don't have anything to plug in, so no. And we brought a little teeny 8x8 canopy. Of course, it rained, and it got dark. So we got wet, and we couldn't see anything we were doing. And so it was quite a learning experience. So what we thought we'd do is put together a lot of information that we've learned over the last 6-7 years doing competition, plus what we've learned from people that we know. And so in our book, we've got an overview of what barbecue competition is. Of course, we've got recipes for all the main categories, stuff that we've run in the past, everything that we've had success with, things we've failed at for sure. What the other categories might be, sides, desserts, recipes for those, equipment lists, what to bring, checklists so you don't forget things. A really thorough overview of all the rules and judging of all the barbecue societies that you might enter into. Reviews on different cooking equipment that we've used, from pellet poppers to stick burners to charcoal burners. Timeline that we personally use that we think could be handy for other teams. What from shopping at the store to the day of the event, all the way up to judging. about the cook's meetings, what woods to use, sauces, rubs, ways to lower the cost of competing and to help yourselves make money, stuff about a lot of other barbecue associations, and of course how to build a flabango. We've got a whole chapter on that, and we think that it's a very valuable resource. We wouldn't do it if we didn't think it was, and we can look ourselves in the mirror and tell ourselves that if we were starting out, or even today, if we had another team that we knew and respected, we would buy the book no matter what. We think it's going to be valuable. It's going to be somewhere between 150 and 200 pages, and none of it's filler. It's all great information.
Do you have a price point on that?
We haven't come up with an official price yet. We're still working on that. We're about 6 weeks away. We're still trying to calculate our costs and what's involved. Most likely, we're going to do an ebook that's available on our website, bbqrevolution.com. And it depends on how we decide to publish it completely. So probably in the $40 range, somewhere around there.
Sounds like a great info. Is this a group effort from all of you guys, or are there a few of you that have really taken the horns and putting this book together and getting it down to where it's going to be releasable?
It's a team-penned hot grill on grill action release, and we've all put our brains into it and are very excited for those that would like to read it. We're very excited for you to read it.
Hey guys, it's Huck Jr. again from In the Hut. At a $40 price point, are you approaching it like from a textbook point of view?
No, the price point that we have right now is ebook, and so it'd be available for download. And we're strongly considering free support, which would be like Q&A from our team.
Well,
it would be included in that.
Well, where I was going was like. Yeah, I understand ebook, but I meant I guess I should have said textbook format. So not an actual textbook, but are you going with that format versus like a regular book per se, like a regular cookbook?
It's not like a novel. It would be more like an instruction manual built for beginners, very easy to read, step by step, how to do it. There's an entire chapter that cuts to the chase. If it's your first contest, and in fact, the first paragraph of the book tells you, if it's your first contest, go to this chapter. And you go to that chapter, and if you focus on that, you could go to a contest and compete start to finish, and we believe have a good chance at success having not done a contest before.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good 30 to 40 pages of the book is just for the beginner.
All right, so go ahead and give me just a few nuggets of information, because obviously there's going to be people listening to this that are going to be deciding to jump into maybe a competition or an event in the near future. So you guys have been around it, and again, you're kind of a unique team. The fact that there's 4 of you, each responsible for your separate categories. But putting that aside for a second, just, and I'd like to get all your input here, and we can start with Matt. But what do you think some of the most fundamental key factors people really need to consider in order for them to do well their first few times out?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, I think with the internet the way it is, you can do a lot of research on what to cook. You really need to know the rules, and we have the rules laid out here. You can find those other places. One of the things that I think we have in our book that we haven't seen in other books is very unique ways of reducing your cost and or making money as a barbecue team to help break even, which makes it a lot easier on yourself, your families, and you can do more competitions. So, most importantly, I think you just need to learn how to be efficient and effective, and from there, it's you need to be yourself, and that comes out in what you turn in.
What about you, Chris?
Well, I'd have to say, probably one of the most fundamental things for me is just being vigilant and maintaining a temperature in your rig. I mean, that's the most overlooked thing lot of skill, a lot of experience just with your own smoker. When you have something big enough to cook all the large cuts of meat, it's a bit of a challenge to get the hang of working that. And we've done so much to our rig to the point now where we can access it wirelessly, change settings on it, look at the graphs on the computer. It's one of the things that we've been after for a long time, and probably one of our biggest stumbling blocks over the years is just being able to keep that temperature dead on whatever you want it, whether it's 230, 240, 250. We have the ability to set that now and kind of walk away from it. And it's taken us a few years to get to that. And I think that's really the most important thing to cooking meat in general is just consistent temperature.
Ryan, what would you like to add?
Well, I mean, really, I'd have to agree with Chris. I mean, not to sound like I'm copping out of an answer here, but you have to learn your rig. We've laid that out in the book. I do believe that is the key. You need to map it. We've discussed that. That's covered in there. You need to know where your hot spots are. You need to know where your cool spots are. You need to know when it's time to move things into those spots. If things aren't getting done or they're getting overdone, you need to know where those spots are. You need to be able to move them. You need to be able to get them done on time. So I think that's the biggest thing that we feel, and we try to cover that as well. So,
Logan, let's end it with you.
I think Matt touched on this a little bit, but when I read through the book and just kind of, 5 years ago when I got into barbecue, there was only one book available, and I kind of read through it. And by the time I got done with it, it laid out all the categories and some different recipes and how to cook it. But I could have walked into a contest and had absolutely no idea, general ballpark, hey, when does this stuff need to go on? What are some other things I need to consider throughout this process? One of the great things in this book, and one of the things that jumps out at me, just kind of putting myself back in that time frame of when you first started, is that timeline. It's invaluable. It's basically a step-by-step guide. Hey, it's 10 o'clock at night. If you've got a X-pound brisket, you need to throw it on now. You need to throw your butts on here. And it can walk someone basically directly through a whole competition without them having experience before. And the goal of the book is to have them, like Matt said, encounter some success. So that's the first part of the book that jumped out in my eye, is that contest timeline. The other thing is the recipes, and we also include in there what's called high-level notes. The high-level notes are basically for the advanced person. We're not going to expect the person who first reads the book to go in there and look at all the high-level notes and be like, okay, you can actually do this, this, this. Or, hey, if you're having trouble getting this kind of flavor profile, try this. If your brisket's too tough, consider this. And just some different strategies and troubleshooting to help them along. So it's a complete book, A to Z on absolutely everything you'd want to know about competition barbecue. So it's exciting. It's a product that I believe in 100%. It's really, really cool.
And when do you have an anticipated release date for that again?
We're at somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. It should be in that neighborhood for sure by the end of the year. But we're hoping for sooner than later. We just have to finalize some details and some of our latest success we want to plug in there. I mean, we're not holding anything back. We're, regardless of what people think, other teams and such, we're going to share what we do with everyone.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to call it a night here. But first, I want to let you know that you can find out about Hot Grill on Grill Action, A, on Facebook, B, at their website, bbqrevolution.com. That's bbqrevolution.com. And we've been talking with Matt Frampton, Ryan Amos, Logan Hendrickson, and Chris Yellick. All four are a quarter of the pitmasters that make up a whole Hot Grill on Grill Action. Guys, I certainly appreciate the time and sharing all of that information. Not easy doing like 7 people on an interview here, but I think we all did very well. And I'll be looking for you guys again soon. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks, Greg.
Oh, all right. Instant feedback from Chad first. Success or failure?
No, great success.
Yes.
You, you pulled that out. You pulled that out of the bar ditch after an hour and 17 minutes quiet.
Huck, success or failure?
Success, Rempe. Success.
Yes. All right, we won't bother asking the third person. So
What?
I won't do it. All right. So I think that's all I got
Well,
tonight.
what would Rod have to say about this, Greg?
Rod would have to say,
Nothing.
of course, for as great of a guest he is, when I go right to him to get a spot on reaction, he has nothing to say. So there you go. All right, guys. Anything that you would like to add, Chad? Where are you going to be at next?
Orlando Sam's Club.
That's right.
End of
You're
August.
going to be losing
So,
to homebarbecue.com that weekend, aren't you?
yes, we will be competing against them.
That's right. And what about after that?
After that, we are back in Ohio for Nelsonville.
Oh my God! That place is the worst place ever.
It is pretty dumpy.
Oh man!
But
I went to college. Ohio University is a mere like 30 minutes away on 50 there. You should just go there and hang out for the weekend. Just skip the competition altogether.
It's the third leg of the Triple Crown, so it kind of forces us there.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good luck with that. Huck, what's going on with you?
Nothing much, preparing for the show next week, next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can hear me, Chad, and Senior, and whoever else joins on. Big Mr. D.
George Hensler.
George Hensler will definitely be there. Yep.
Who were those guys?
Who were those guys? Or they were those guys this past weekend.
Guys?
Yeah, they were those guys.
All right. All right, guys. So I'm going to dump you. Well, no, I can't. Well, I don't know what the hell I can do.
Nope.
Here's what I'm going to do. I am, we'll just call this a night. Let me see if I can do this right. Let me get my outro music here proper. And then I have another cue showed up here. All right. Here we go. See if I can do this right for posterity reasons. All right. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank my good friends Huck Jr. and Chad Ward from Whiskey Bed Barbecue for filling in for an hour and 17 minutes. Wow. I don't know what happened. But like Shepard, what's his name, said when he said, well, never mind. It won't happen again. Apologize to my sponsors. I guess I'll be giving refunds. Thanks to the boys from Barbecue Revolution. BBQRevolution.com is the website. Matt Frampton, Ryan Amos, Logan Hendrickson, and Chris Yellick make up that team. 4 guys that are responsible for their 4 categories. Very interesting. Next week, hopefully, we will reschedule Craig Meathead Goldwyn. And also looking for Christian O'Dowd from Daisy Mays Barbecue. And whoever's won a very big competition during the course of the barbecue this weekend, I'll be sure to have them on as well. Look, I want to remind you to help control the rusty grill grate population, folks. If you have cast iron that's raw, make sure that you're seasoning it after each and every use. You will save your grills and prevent rust from forming. It's very important. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American. Guys, say it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Good night now.
Oh.